Already hit the button. No lie. Good morning. How y'all feeling out there? How y'all doing? I am Omi Bell. I do not have all the tabs that I need to have open. Okay, that is a reality right now in my life. So I'm probably missing something. You see what I'm saying? I'm here with my co-host Takia.
Hey, good morning. Good
How,
morning.
how, how you feeling this morning?
Listen, you ever had one of them mornings where you just like, I'm just going to go with it? Like, whatever, I'm here. Okay. And I'm going to just go with it. I'm going to just go with it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, also, have you ever had one of those mornings where you just like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I don't have the, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't
Yes.
know so much so that I don't even know what I know. You know what I'm saying?
I
It's one
understand.
of those. Yeah.
I totally understand
Yeah.
that. See, you was talking about your tabs not being open. I think I woke up with all of my tabs just still here. So I'm just, and if you saw my screen, you would be like, close something. Like, and that's what I'm telling myself right now. Just close something. One of these things.
I get that. You know what I mean? I get that. I totally understand where that's going. And I think as I scramble to solve things that probably don't need to be solved, you know what I'm saying? I think that's also the thing, right? Like things that became important to me this morning really didn't even need to be taken care of. And this is, we don't get to talk about this part. Okay.
Mm,
It could all of the things that are feel like a priority to me right now wait? Probably. You know what I'm saying? Like that
yeah.
that is
Yeah.
the thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm gonna work through it. We're gonna work through it. I got the tab open that I need to have open. So I want to bring our guest up because
Oh,
but because we're gonna see what kind of morning she having. Okay, because maybe she got it. She
okay.
got it. She got it. In fact, she not maybe. She does have it. Okay. Jasmine Pitts is a speaker, mental health advocate, author. Here we go. We need some mental health help this morning, clearly. Author and founder of Healed Black Women. Her work helps people heal attachment wounds, rebuild self trust, and reclaim who they are beyond survival through workshops, leadership training, and community healing. I'm guessing it keeps cutting people off on these bios, but I'm guessing it says community healing circles,
Mm.
maybe.
Well, tell us. She gonna let us know.
hbwomen.org. I'm gonna bring up coming to the stage.
Come to
Everybody
this.
give a round of applause for
Hundreds.
Jasmine Pitts. Jasmine, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning,
Good
ladies.
morning, beautiful.
You looking like you got the answer. Do you have the answer, Jasmine?
I got a little bit of them. I still got on my pajama pants under this top though,
Well,
so.
listen, see what I'm saying? That's all. I mean, but you look
Well, we
great.
here. We
And
here.
who
Listen,
and who gonna check you?
Yes.
nobody,
Cause
absolutely
you
no
looking
one,
you looking amazing. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
We would have
Thank
never
you.
known. I could have
not
sworn you
one.
had on
The whole
a
get
whole
up.
skirt. Yeah. You was ready to go. You was about to, you was ready to put the mic out and be like,
But we are ready. No matter how we show up, we are ready.
here we go. So let's talk about it.
Mhm.
All right, so are you a licensed therapist or are you more on the coaching side?
So I am more on the coaching side. I am currently in my master's program for clinical mental health.
Mm.
And one of the things that made me want to do community work is that a lot of us, women of color, we don't learn about some of the things that I'm learning about unless you go to therapy at your big old age. And there's still a lot of stigma around therapy. So one of the things I want to do was bring it to the community in a way that's tangible, accessible, and collective.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. My daughter is in school right now to be a therapist, so it's always
Mm.
amazing, to see another sister going down that path.
Yeah.
Um, you one of the things with therapy now we have, it's so hard to get in with with a therapist right now, or to connect with someone.
Mhm.
Um, are you seeing that? How is that impacting the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so I have some strict things that I feel about that process, which is why although I'm in school for clinical mental health, it's more so to get the expertise. There's all types of things with insurance and billing that I kind of go against my beliefs on the
Mhm.
way that help should be accessible.
Mm,
So, really, what I'm trying to do is be that gap, fill the
Mm.
gap and be boots on the ground in the community in a way that takes out the therapeutic guidelines of insurance and that whole billing process.
mm.
Mm.
That's
Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just excited because that's hard for a lot of
Mhm.
people, like that gap where it's just because if you don't have insurance, right, then it's just like,
Mhm.
and then what? And then if you do have insurance, who accepts what, when, why? And then people just give up, like they're just like, I'm gonna throw in the towel. That's it. I don't need it, but only I'm gonna throw it over because you was about to say something good. I know.
Well, what I was gonna say is, I think it's interesting, and of course, considering all the Cheyenne Bryant situation, stuff like that, the like workarounds of like um wanting to be on one side or the other, billing, not billing,
Mhm.
license or oversight, not oversight. Like what? Tell us more about like why, because I mean, for when I'm all the times that I've looked for a therapist, insurance ain't never covered it, so I end up
Mhm.
paying out of pocket anyway. It wasn't even something that, well, maybe once with my child, um, we had insurance covered, but typically when I'm looking, it's not covered by insurance. So I'm curious as to like what's drawing you toward wanting to navigate that as something specific to navigate. Like what is something happened that made you go, well, I'm not trying to go to that billing route, or you meaning like once you get your next step, you will be able to bill. Tell me a little bit more.
So mine was very specific. It had nothing to do with insurance initially or wanting to try to go under a different route. In my undergrad program, I took a personality class, which I was so excited about because those are the fun classes where you learn all the good stuff and you take the test.
Mm,
And they gave us an attachment style quiz. And I was so excited to sit down and take this and write my reflection. But it was a heavy test. It was talking about the relationship I had with my mom, and the safety that I felt in the home. And that was very like triggering for me because me and my mom had a very rocky relationship. A lot of our relationship led to some of the things like self-sabotage and not feeling worthy and different things in my life. So taking that test and getting the results was where my journey started. It was like looking at my life story on the screen, and I started thinking about how many women are living outer survival, how we don't talk about the Black family dynamics. We don't heal from those dynamics, which later in turn lead into how we lead, how we love, how we parent. And in the Black community specifically, a lot of our parenting is not emotional supportive. Like it's not supportive in the emotional space, it's built on survival. So I started thinking, how can we start to talk about these things in the Black community? Because most women are not going to hear about attachment wounds unless you do go to a therapist. So I wanted to bring the language in a way that was tangible. And I built a framework to start helping women process through these wounds through awareness, rebuilding their self trust and their safety, and learning what to do when those triggers do arise so that you're not exploding on people, and then how to start integrating into a life that is more of choice instead of survival. So that's kind of my backstory of like my why. And this work changed my life. It changed my relationship with my mom. I was able to go back and help her identify things that she had from her mom. And she is no longer blocked on Facebook because that was at one point she was. Now we have a great relationship. She's very supportive of the work, and I actually wrote a book about it, and included, some of her story in the book as well.
tell us about the book. And like, what are you? So we can get your inspiration. One, thank you for sharing.
Hmm.
But tell us a little bit about the book, about what people can hope to read if they were to get the book. The book is the book also called "Healed Black Women." What's the name of
No,
the book?
the book is called "Healing Your Inner Child" or "Healing Your Hidden Child from Guarded to Grounded," and it's on Amazon. So one of the things that the biggest things is the framework that I worked on. So I actually started this framework in school because I was looking to actually create a theory using some of the attachment style clinical things that have been already done, but building upon it to showcase how it affects the relationship we have with ourselves. So attachment healing has always been about, oh, if you are avoidant or learn to shut down, then you're going to be like this in a relationship with another person. We haven't really looked at how the things that you learned affect your relationship with yourself, how you shut down with yourself, how you self sabotage. So in the book, we talk about just some of the ways that you can start to identify those things and start to pivot and move into a space of awareness.
We were just talking about this, I think, on yesterday, I think, when we were talking about, you know, really recognizing yourself. Like, you know, like your first work is with your own self. Like a lot of times we're out here trying to fix, you know, all the external things. And in reality, it's the work that you have to do internally that
Mhm.
is really going to make the biggest change. In your life. So, how are you supporting other women? Can you talk a little bit about that work?
Yes. So through my nonprofit work, I do a 6 month cohort where we take women through the process. So we start with introducing them to their attachment styles, having them take the test, starting with the awareness behind it, learning really what that even is. Like, am I avoidant? Am I anxious and always overperforming for love? Like, what are the traits that are showing up for me? And then we move into how, now that I know these traits, how do I rebuild and establish safety within myself? How do I
Mhm.
feel safe with my own choices, with my own decisions, with my gut instincts that I ignore? Because a lot of women, a part of attachment is that we start to self betray, where it's like we don't trust our own voice. So teaching them that, we go through um, pattern recognition and trigger mapping, and learning how to process through your triggers in a way where you can get to a calm prior to explosion. And then we talk about how to integrate these into your life now. Now that I'm aware, now that I know these things, how do I start to integrate these into my workplace, into my relationship, to my parenting? So it's a 6 month process. It used to be workshop based, and I realized like, no, we kind of need to put this all together because you can't learn about awareness and not talk about triggers. You can't learn about awareness and not talk about how to integrate this stuff into your life. So it became a cohort. We're actually wrapping up. So it starts from January to June. And then after June, we have a big festival that I put on for the city called Rhythmic Reflections, which I always call it like a healthy dopamine overload, like all the forms of creativity that you can express and heal through. So we have like live performers, we have yoga and Black Carpus, which she's amazing, a live collective painting that people can contribute to, and then we have wellness vendors as well, and that's open to the community. So that's kind of our map of the year.
Question for you around what you're seeing. Do you think people really like black? So I don't know. Let me ask this so I can be clear. Is this specifically for black women or this is general? This is general.
So that's another thing. So for my nonprofit, yes, it's for Black women specifically.
Okay.
But then I also have a business arm where I teach leadership programs. So I come into leadership departments and help them with attachment awareness within their leadership teams. And then I also have a youth arm where there's a youth curriculum where we start to introduce them to attachment early, and start kind of recognizing those patterns and things that they're seeing at home and how to navigate those as well.
I have a question about the word healing, right? Like, do you think that, and you just named three very different sectors of people, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm always curious as to whether or not our communities gravitate to the word healing in the same way massively, right? I think like there's a pool of people who get into it and we're like, yeah, I want to heal.
Mhm.
And then there's a pool of people who are still coming to awareness around like what it all means, and also the sort of over commercialization of like the idea of healing.
Yes.
And there's a lot to be discussed around intercultural healing, meaning like going to a healing experience with people who are not black, like mix and mingling that. There's a lot there, so that's why I was asking, like, identity wise, who are you catering to? But I'm
Mhm.
curious, like, have you seen people question the word healing, gravitate to the word healing? What are you seeing?
Yeah. So, um, leadership, that was one of the most interesting forms of what I do because it's a mix of men and women and different races. And that was the first time that I worked with men, and that's a whole a whole nother layer because it's a lot of defense and a lot of who society tells them to be. So healing is soft, like, oh, you're trying to make me soft, and it's like, no, we're just talking about these patterns, and we're talking about some of these things, these layers underneath that you've been holding and carrying. So there is a lot of just kind of stigma around the word healing, and then there is um, just a lot of commercialized use of the word. So I try to make sure that I am very specific on my lane. I am not talking about, burnout and all the things. Like, yes, we get to that, but we're getting to the root and the core of burnout. Because if I'm treating burnout, but I don't know that I'm an overperformer because my mother didn't give me the attention that I wanted unless I was doing something great or doing something massive and I had to perform constantly. I don't know how that one relationship is affecting how I show up at my job and why I feel the need to take on more than I can carry. But if I go to the core of that, then I can start to heal the root problem. I'm very big on root issues and not band aids. So a lot of the things that we see are great. Like it's great to do, these different forms of self care and all these things. But if I don't know the root cause, what am I attacking? So I'm very specific on let's get to the root of the problem. I'm not talking to the professional you. I'm talking to the 12-year-old you, the 8-year-old you that is still showing up in your day-to-day life.
Mm, that's good.
Mm.
That's really good. It
Yeah.
it's funny because I was watching something this morning on Instagram, and Kiki Palmer did a TED talk,
Mhm.
and it was just like a clip of what she posted, and one of the parts that I pulled out of it was her recognizing the persona she had created
Mhm.
and then reintroducing herself to the one, the world, right? To the woman that she is, right?
Yeah.
And so it was really profound to see it. And I see it a lot with Black women where you create like a persona. And
Mhm.
I call it putting on my war paint or my armor. You know what I mean? I have my alter ego for the world. But then how you get lost in the performance of that,
Mhm.
and you lose the woman that you are and are becoming, right? So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, did you see that one, and do you think that's what you're seeing in your work, is just that as you go through the healing process, like breaking down those, I don't even know who I am, like at a certain point.
Yeah. So I have not seen Kiki's, but she's absolutely right. So we talk about it all the time. It's like the mask that we wear. We get up in the morning and we put on our mask and we walk out into the world, and that's how we protect ourselves. So one of the things that I talk about is the protective self that you build, and where that protective shield comes from. Like I had such a high wall. Like I am used to be very avoidant, shut down during conversations that felt difficult. And that was how I learned to protect myself. That was what I showed up to in meetings. That's what I showed up to in my parenting sometimes, my relationships. and it wasn't serving me. So how do I start to remove that mask? Because I've been wearing that mask since childhood. Like, this is what I use for my mom. This is what I use for my dad. So what does it look like to start to take that thing off? And part of the things that I talk about in the book is navigating the space in between once you do take it off. Because nobody talks about that. It's like you get to this point where you start to release some of this stuff, but now it's kind of like a sense of lost identity because I've carried this for so long that I really don't know who else to be. And sometimes people get scared in that space of that in between space. But one of the things I've learned is that that space can be beautiful because you can start to create who you want to be as far as just exploring things that you once loved. Like, I love to dance. I forgot that I love to dance because I was always wearing this mask and protecting myself and focusing on just being this person. But it's like, no, let me explore those things. Now that I trust my body and myself and my body, like, let me explore some of the things that I feel like I like, and then start taking data on those things. Like, okay, well, we're a dancer, we can put that on the list. We love to, go out and be amongst these type of people, we could put that on the list. And just creating from a clear space, instead of a space of survival and performance.
So good. That's
Yeah. Where can people find you? Where can people? So tell the festival's coming up, and the festival's where you said the city, but I don't know if people know what city
Yes.
you're
So I'm
talking
in
about.
Detroit. Shout out
Okay.
Detroit. Woo woo. But
Detroit.
yes, but the festival, it is on the east side of Detroit, at a space called Say Detroit Play Center. So it is going to be July 18th from 4 to 8 p.m. And as I mentioned before, like, we have different performers. Part of the thing I love about the performance is they're also an interview section where they tell the story behind their song. So this year's
Mm.
theme is Unmuted. And it is just a space where we come, we can be free, we can express, we can scream, we can cry, and we can be held within community. So this is our second year doing this. I'm excited to say that last year we ended up getting the Spirit of Detroit Award. Um,
Ah, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. So this year we're building impact. It's pushing the mission forward, because I want spaces that express healing in multiple ways. Like, we need spaces where you can have creative expression, and feel seen and held.
Thank you for sharing with us this morning. I think more spaces like this is going to become more and more necessary as we adapt AI, as we
Mhm.
like things are going. It's interesting how tech, yes, is driving some disconnection, but it's also driving us back to a culture of like intimate meetups.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's also driving us to this like, I want to get with my group. I want to find my people. I want to, it's driving us to that place too, which is also sort of interesting. So for those out there who create in these communities, like, keep going.
Mhm.
Keep going with the work you're doing for sure overall. And I think, like, from the festival standpoint, we need those out. People are searching for them more and more. The more tech is starting
Mhm.
to rapidly evolve, the more people are searching for spaces like this.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
am jumping into the tech space too. So I do have an app coming out,
Okay.
it's called Healing
Yes,
Out Loud.
and
Yes. It's called Healing Out Loud. And the goal is to duplicate the work that I'm doing, and multiply it in spaces, outside of the city, where they'll still come in and take an attachment style quiz. They're able to start doing voice recordings for those who are not big journalers, which is me. Voice recordings have helped me, kind of just document my process and kind of stay in tune with myself. Then there will be reflections after you submit your voice notes, where it's like, okay, I'm seeing these trends based on the things that you're submitting. And they also generate healing receipts that tie directly to incentives, with our community partners. So if you're in the app and you're working on yourself, you're doing the mini lessons that's in there. You get healing receipts that say, hey, you get 10% off to go to this, candle company, or 10% off to go to a yoga session. So just getting that incentive for consistency. So that will be dropping. So yes, I am jumping into the tech girly, but also still based on human connection.
All right, I like it.
And yes, hbwomen.com. Did I say that right?
.org.
hbwomen.org.
Okay.
Yes.
H is in Harry, B is in boy, women.org. Thanks so
Yes.
much for joining us, Jasmine, and sharing
Thank
with us.
you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a good rest of your day.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You
All right.
too.
Welcome.
Bye.
Thank you.
I love that. That's so
Mhm.
good.
It
Yeah,
really was good.
that's
It
so
really
good.
was good. You know what
Um,
it reminded me of?
mm,
You and I, we've been look, we've been together for a long time. We've been doing this,
mm,
we've been running this business race for a while. And I don't know if you remember that we took like one of those personality tests.
I
And
don't remember because we take them
uh,
all the time,
I
BGV.
I remember I
What
took
are
one with you, and it was like, how do you work as a part of a team?
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and so mine was an obliger. Right, that was my
I'm a rebel.
listen.
The four tendencies.
The way that set me off, like that set me off, right? Because it did, because like when you read it, it's just kind of like, well, no, I'm not. You know how you just kind of like, well, wait a minute. No, I'm not. Like, I'm not like that. And it's just like the negative connotation that comes with it. Like,
Mm,
and so a lot of times, like when we're taking like personality tests and, all of these things, when you first get your results, like, how you think, like who I think I am versus
mm.
what the test says. And so part of it is working through what that means. Like, what does that mean to me? Like, how does that, like working through your feelings is not always
Mm.
acceptance at first, especially if you get a trait that you weren't thinking of.
Right. So at BGV, we take personality tests. I have everybody that comes to take a personality test, and typically at one point we had 3 of them. Now we have 2 of them. So we have the 4 tendencies, which is what you're talking about, and it's obliger, a rebel, a questioner, and there's one more that I can't think of right now. It's escaped me. I'm gonna look it up. But it again helping you understand what you tend to do. The reason why it's called a upholder. Upholders, questioners, obligers, and rebels. And this is where you tend to land. And the way Lord have mercy, lean. One of the things I think though about it is it's like your temperature. So you know how like in your house, like rooms have a standard sort of room temperature they will fall back to depending on where you are in climate. And there's a general rule of thumb, room temperature. But you can turn up the heat and you can turn up the air. And then it will change that temperature in that room. But then if you were to turn the heat off or you would turn the air off, it's going to go back to a certain place. And I think that's what we're trying to, like, what do I tend to go back to? What do I tend to always end up being and doing? It doesn't mean that you won't have a different way of being, a different way of moving, a different way. But it's like those are the pieces to note. And if you want to change that, you can. Now I'm a rebel. But what I realized as a leader, and the reason why I give my we do these, the other one we do is the Gallup builder profile. And those result in like different things as well. Like, how are you as a builder? The 4 tendencies is free. So if anybody want to try it, it's the word for tendencies. You can Google that. What I realized is in leadership, I was asking my obligers to do things without obliging them. I was asking my upholders to do things without things that they could uphold. I was getting annoyed by the questioners, because they asked me a bunch of questions, and I'm like, this is what I said, this is what we're doing, like, and so I was like, oh, it helped me as a leader decide I am actually looking at moving with my team. Maybe in some of I'm miscommunicating. I'm communicating the way I would communicate. I'm not communicating in the way they can hear. And not only communication, I'm not even communicating in the way that they can actually execute. Because if the obliger ain't obliging and the upholder ain't upholding and the questioner can't ask no questions, what are they doing? They're feeling lost. So I think with the builder profile, you get these different ones about how people build. Another thing, sometimes you got to ask yourself, do you even have people in the right positions at that in your company?
Mm-hmm.
they was real great. And I remember I can't remember the name of this company. All the things are escaping me at the moment. But this well-known company is anyway, I interviewed this lady and she was saying in the beginning of your company, you're bringing in jacks of all trades. You're trying to get anybody that can do anything, and sometimes for the cheap, for the low. And then as your company evolves, you're now trying to find experts. And so it shifts who you're looking for. And that also has to shift how you manage them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, we're in a little bit of a mix up in the world because of now you got AI and you're thinking about what you need from it and that kind of thing. But still, like, these personality tests can really mean a lot to your workflow.
Mm-hmm. They can.
And you know what?
It can shake you up. I'm just letting you know it can, and you have to be ready for that. That's the thing. Like, it can shake you up, not only in who you thought you were, but then the realization that some of what you may be struggling with is because of that tendency. But then also some of what has made you the greatest that you have ever been is because of that tendency, right? And so it's just kind of like, you're on a bicycle, like, how do you navigate the fact that you are the greatest human, right? Like, you are doing it because of that tendency. Like, if that is how you naturally tend to be, it's because of that. But how do you navigate those challenging places, right? When it's just like, because of that tendency too, like, these might be some of your challenges.
I mean, listen, you saying something. Somebody said working with Teddy. So the 4 tendencies is a free one. It's just, if you just Google the words "the 4 tendencies," you're definitely gonna see it because it's a pretty popular quiz to take in terms of just like where this in the realm that it lives in. The 4 tendencies. The builder profile one is a Gallup one, and it's behind a paywall, so you won't see that so clearly. But there's also the Enneagram. I've done that. There's also the Myers-Briggs used to be the one, but back in the day. Now I think there's so many of them. Dang, I was about to tell y'all something, Lord. What is happening? Oh, to your point of I'm great because of this, but I also may be having some challenges because of this. I also think some of that is where you get your hustle culture. Some of that is where nervous system regulation sits, and some of that is where trauma sits, right? Too, where it's like, you couldn't tell, you still can't to this day probably tell Joe Jackson that the reason why they're successful is not because he beat them the way he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it was because of me. If I wouldn't have beat y'all, you would have been as disciplined. And it's like, I don't think we needed a whooping every time. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. Now, discipline is one thing, staying disciplined and focusing on a routine. But I don't, but then when you look at the story, it's not about the beating part, but in terms of the level of rigor, it's hard to question whether or not, not hard to question. It's hard to think through whether or not that did produce something. And I think like that's the hard part. Is that like what you feel like you're producing when you're dysregulated and your team no sleep and you're hustling it out, you know what I'm saying, versus like what you can create when you're settled. That's what I learned when I took sabbatical. Is that I thought that my superpower was how I execute on this, like go boom boom boom, you got this, don't and then I realized actually, and I'm realizing that in this very moment as I think about the next thing we're going to build, I am realizing that during the time I built BGV, I was laid off. And before that, my company before BGV, I was laid off and I was in like fight or flight mode. Honestly, my engagement had ended. I wasn't going to get married. Now I got 3 kids. I'm single. And I'm like, what the life I thought I was about to live is not happening. I'm at my rock bottom. I have no money. I have nothing but like Section 8, a hope, a prayer, free lunch, and some food stamps. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm never going to go back to work for anybody. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do anything I could possibly do. And the trauma of it all, trying to separate the trauma of it all from the success of it all. Like, it's hard to pull those things apart. And later on in life, that's why I think healing spaces are so important. Because we got to heal. Now, whether or not you had to do those things because things happen and you had to do it, okay. But it's not sustainable. And it's not necessarily something I think that you should be doing long term. You need, like, healing is so, so, so important.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and I'm always so in awe, and I know that my time is coming, right? So, and that's how I know, right? I'm so in awe of people who really break, like take a break, like when they say like I am taking a break, like I am so, at first I didn't understand it because I'm just like, what do you like? What do you mean? But like I am in awe of people who are like, you know what? I'm breaking. I'm taking a break. That means no, I'm not responding to anybody. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? And not in that negative, like, and I'm getting all of this is horrible. It's just like, no, I'm gonna really take a moment to do the hard work that is loving me or caring for me or learning me, you know, healing me, right? Being self-full about me.
I
And
like self-full.
yes. And I've been, you know, I always try to reframe that, you know, selfish thing, because it's like that, like all of those narratives that we've been taught, you know, throughout our lives. I know, well, I'll say for me that I've been taught throughout my life. How have they served me, and then how have they hurt me? Right. And it's just like, you know, because they served a purpose when they did what they did. But, and also, it can also have hurt me. So I'm always grateful to hear and listen, especially to women who have taken that time to really disconnect and say, hey, you know, who is this woman? Who am I becoming? What do I want? Right? How do I serve? Do I want to keep doing this? You know, do I have to keep showing up this way and not allowing, because I'm such an obliger, not allowing external factors to influence, you know, that movement in a way that it becomes detrimental to yourself, right? So that's really awesome.
Speaking of breaks,
Mm.
you know, check out the Break Before You Break podcast. I actually don't talk about it often, which is interesting, but I have a podcast called Break Before You Break. And I'm literally talking about these things wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts. If you listen to podcasts on Amazon, if you listen to podcasts on Spotify, you can go look at it. You can go check it out. Break Before You Break by Omi Bell. And if you go back into the episodes, I am literally going from, like, I started these when I went on sabbatical, and they are just voice notes to the public. Like, it's raw audio of me literally going through healing, but also the last season is more settled audio, more settled, like it's unsettling. It's not unsettling. But what I mean is it's just straight up, it's real talk. It ain't a bunch of fancy interviews. It's not long. They're not really long. Like, some of them are short. Some of them are like 5 to 7 minutes. Some of them like 20 minutes. Some of them a little longer. But I'm really going through it. And I'm talking to people, like, I'm really unraveling. Like, if you go back to not this season that just finished, but the season before that, I'm like really saying what's happening real time. Like, I'm taking a break. It feels crazy, you know, like what is happening to me. And then forward, I'm like asking myself all these different questions. I'm also, you'll see some of that on my website and coming out in a blog format as well. But Break Before You Break, go check that out. Like I said, podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you'll find it. If you got it, you might have to type in the whole name, Break Before You Break, by Omi Bell, or with Omi Bell. If you type in my name, you should see some stuff pop up too. But yeah, check that out. Go ahead. What
I'm sorry, I had a sit back moment. That was like, because I wonder, right? I do, and this is just a wondering, right? You know, if you, like, when I think about you and I think about building a business, building a brand that has some attachment to your, like, you, right? Like, you are a part, like BGV, like I've loved watching it grow, where, you know, we get to see, you know, the rest of the team and you know, people are leading, but then people do turn around and be like, well, where's Omi? Right? Like, we're Like, where's Omi? Like, I want to see Omi, right? And as many of us are building brands, most of the time we build brands and we're the the focal point because we were the only one at first. Not that we want to be, the end all be all, but because you're the sole one. And so now you've built this brand and you have all this tribe around you that is expecting you to show up, right? They're expecting when things for you to be there. And now you're at a place where it's just kind of like, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, literally, and not in a bad way, right? Not in a, I hate it here, but it's just kind of like, I don't want to show up like that. Like, I don't want, like, and then it'll get to a place where it's just like, I can't. Like, I physically, mentally, spiritually cannot show up in that way anymore. Right? It is, and I'm gonna throw it out there. It is killing me. Like, it is literally, like, when you think about the amount of stress and anxiety, and it's like you never always get to be in a moment, right? Because we're moving from moment to moment. How did you navigate that? Like, how did you navigate? So I'm gonna pull myself all the way back. How did you navigate?
Thank you for asking me that. I think, okay, well, we're going there. We're going there. Okay, we're going there. So one thing for sure, one thing that I am sure about is that I will not let this drive me to the hospital. I would not let building a company be my ambulance. You know what I mean? Like, I just wasn't going to be, I just refused to do that, and I think so that was bigger to me than what people are needing from me. Is that, like, you can't need anything from me if I'm not here. If I'm stressing myself out, if I'm about to perish because I'm trying to so overly serve you, like, I just felt like I don't want to do that. And I've seen that. I have an aunt who I would say that I learned a lot of my management style from. And she just worked so much. And she enjoyed work. Because let me also say that, like, I don't want to paint the picture that, like, like I was in some, like, I don't like work, right? Like, I think, like, I love to achieve. I love a good deal. Child, my little ADHD be kicking in. And I just did this whole trailer. I just did this whole video while we was talking. So I think that, like, I love that. You know what I'm saying? And I think I watched her have 2-3 jobs all the time, whether she needed them or not. And I watched her rise to management in all of them. And I watched her just find so much self-efficacy in it. And then I watched her have multiple strokes and die. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, that ain't how I'm trying to go out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to go out of natural causes in my bed, cute. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I chose, because in 2022, what happened to me was in 2022, I started feeling the I can't run no more. I started feeling the I'm slowing down. You know what I mean? I started feeling the wait a minute, hold up. You know what? It's interesting too. You were saying like, people still like, where's Omi? I don't even know. Sometimes you're so wrapped up in the work that I couldn't even necessarily feel that until maybe now. Out of everything I've done, like, you've seen all the things I've done. You see me do Nike gigs. You see me, go to multiple places. Like, you see me do all that, and I still don't know that I was even looking at. I was never feeling. I still was feeling like I need to just get the work done.
Yeah.
I
mean, listen.
I just need to get the work. I just need to get the work done. Like, I just
you were trying to get through it. You didn't live the experience. Like, it was like everything was like getting through it.
That's right. And I asked myself the other day, I can't remember who I was talking to. I was like, I wonder if I really maximized that time. You know what I mean? Like, I think I did. But I'm just saying that, like, I still ask myself that, like, and was that like the height of my career? I'm on a Nike billboard. I'm in a commercial. I'm like, I'm on every show. Good Morning America. I'm doing all the things. I'm traveling. I'm going to different countries. Like, was that the height of was that the height of like Omi? You know what I'm saying? I have asked myself that. And then how would I feel about that? Right? Like right now, as I think about where I'm evolving to as a leader, like BGV is doing this thing and it's evolving and it's amazing. And I feel a call to do more healing and spiritual work, which is why I was asking her about the word healing and how she feel like people are gravitating to it. Our guest this morning, Jasmine Pitts, if you're just joining us. She is she has a healing practice that she's working through and helping people with attachment styles. And I think I've asked myself, like, well, if I leave BGV, who am I? Because people see me as synonymous to it, and I'm like, well, what do I see? You know what I'm saying? Like, now, granted, some people who are watching right now know me for multiple things. You might have met me on Sirius XM. If you've been around a long time, you might have met me being a poet. So I think like that it's out there, but then I'd be like, dang, like what have I done? I've been winning awards since every year. I've been either winning awards or on some type of top list of whoever's since 2018, 2019, every year. So what if I don't win an award this year? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if I don't? I mean, I know that sounds crazy to like say, but it's like this year is one of those years where I'm not even gunning for it. I'm not even, I'm not even moving in the same way, because I think that healing process that started for me taking a break, which is why I call it break before you break, because either I was going to break, like something was going to break me, or I was going to take it upon myself to take a break. And when you get to that part, you got to start figuring it out. I had to do I did an internal audit I brought in an external group, our HR contractors at the time. I did an internal audit because I felt like I had the right people, good people, but did I have them in the right position? So in order for me to even take the break, one, I had to come to the fact that I needed. Two, I had to go tell my board and sort of negotiate safety, right? Because to your point, me being synonymous with the brand, keeping it 100, my fundraising team does a great job, but a lot of times people are funding us because of me. They trust my leadership. They trust my execution. They trust how I'm running the team. And so then what happens is people get nervous. The leader starts saying, I'm gonna take a break. The funders go, wait a minute. What now? You better wait. The board goes, hold up. What's happening? So I had to negotiate with my board. So I had to make a bunch of decisions. And then through the audit, what came through is I needed to make a key hire, and that was a COO, and not to overthink everything else. Like, instead of me trying to replace or move everybody that quote might have needed to move, the one move I needed to make was to make a key hire, and that was a COO, and then let them do the rest. Sometimes we think like in the middle of us building our business or whatever, or making these decisions, we got to make every decision. They were like, no, don't do that. Just hire this person. Here's another thing we did. We hired the COO, being clear with her that this CEO is about to go out for sabbatical. Like, she didn't have time to get in and take 6 months to a year to figure out how to be great at BGV. She didn't have that. So we hired her with the expectation up front. Because I think another thing we do is, instead of being vulnerable with ourselves and open with the people that we're hiring, is we're bringing in people under our trauma dysregulation, and they're not knowing what they're walking into. They're not knowing what they're walking into, right? They're not knowing what kind of culture they're walking into. They're not knowing what kind of team they're walking into. And we're not doing it on purpose. It's not to like, it's just to like, sometimes you're not as aware yet to even notice what you're feeling or thinking or going through. And then sometimes you're just like, I'm just trying to get you buried in the work. I'm trying to get this work going.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep these customers fed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep these funders happy. Like, you just like, I'm trying to keep my boss. Like, you are in a rhythm of work that doesn't allow you to think. So taking a break, and sometimes you got to steal time, because was it time? Then okay, we hired a COO. Then we get a $2 million gift from Mackenzie Scott. Amazing. First of all, protect that lady at all costs. Okay. That woman is phenomenal. And I'm so, like, without words, thankful for her, for Nike, for Pimco, y'all might get mad at me about this, but for Target, for Visa, for PayPal, these are the people that have been rocking with us all the way through. You know what I mean? Like rocking with us all the way through. Okay, not just, oh, the moment is gone. All the way through, rocking with us in whether it was professional development for me, for my team, opportunities, capital, for me to build out BGV, or build out what we do for community. So anyway, I'm just saying that to say I had to make a lot of decisions, but I was convicted. I was convicted in the fact that I gotta break before I break, and nobody's gonna be good if I break. The team ain't gonna be good. The community we serving ain't gonna be good. Everybody will adapt. But I'm just saying, I don't want to give myself this level of importance, but I just mean that, like, you as a leader, you gotta be good. If you ain't good, nobody's good. Nobody's good. Nothing's good for it. You gotta be good.
Thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of us need to hear it, right? Because we don't know, right? Like you're on the hamster wheel. You are literally in the middle of the race, like running. And it's like, how you in the middle of the race and you just want to run off the field. Like, it's just kind of like you want to be like, that's it. I'm gonna be off now.
No, that's real.
I'll come back to it, but I'm not leaving it forever. But I'm gonna go ahead on and run off, and and figure some stuff out on the other side. And then I think too, especially in this climate, right? Because we were joking about like looking for a job and stuff like that. Like a lot of times entrepreneurs, I know for me, a lot of times when I needed to break, right? Because I had to keep in mind that I still have responsibilities. I still have, bills and children and, certain things. And my businesses, right, are what is sustaining my family, right? We kill what we eat, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's something that I had to keep in mind. A lot of times, a lot of us would go into employment just to get the break. Like we're going to like, okay, well, let me get a little part-time something, a little contractual something, you know what I'm saying, that I can do really quickly, that, you know what I'm saying, I don't have to put a whole bunch of thought into it, but I can go in here, I can get me a regular paycheck, and it'll give me an opportunity to kind of think without always trying to figure out how we're going to survive. In this climate, a lot of that has been taken away. Right? You don't even have that option.
You don't even have a job to go to.
So a lot of us, and and I always put myself in it, a lot of us are really trying to navigate, how do we, continue to run these amazing businesses, but still get what we need, you know what I'm saying, to be able to do it well. Like we do need a break. Like we do need to, because people don't, I'm sure people do, and I know everybody, why, our entrepreneur friends and stuff, keeping up with what the businesses require of you on a daily
Nobody talks about that part. What do these businesses require of you? Yes, like you said, task are one thing, energetically.
Oh my goodness. And then it's just kind of like, and then too, like, when you become, and that's the thing, like when you become, and people do recognize you and people do see you, right? One of the challenges is too, you have to be that. People are expecting to see that.
You have to be that. You know what's interesting about that part is I have tried let me see how I can put this. So I had my first child at 17. I had my second child at 21. I have been dead set on living my life, because when you're a teen mom, it's like doom and gloom. Everybody's like, oh my God, you're going to fail. You're not going to make it. Your kid's not going to be smart. Blah, blah. So I've always had to live this yes and life. So when I say yes and a lot, I've always had to live this like, I got kids, but I need to be a college student. I got a party. You know what I mean? Like I refuse to let this be the end all be all for my life. I don't know where that kicked in from. Maybe my mom was a motivator around that too. Shout out to my mom. But I think that I just was on that. So having said that, I've decided to do that with everything. All right. So like everything I'm doing, I try my hardest to try not to wear as many masks and try to stay as grounded as I can and as authentic as I can. Also coming from being an artist, that's another piece of it. Like when you are like a poet and you're like on stages all the time, it gets so raw. If you're writing really personally, it gets so raw, and even that turns into something else. Now you like storytelling, but you're telling like the rawest part of your life, but it's like in a story. You know what I mean? You see people cry when you tell the story, and then it somehow becomes a little bit distant for me. So I think like when you get on stage, there's a rawness that comes to it, right? Where you just start to be comfortable being naked up there doing, not literally naked, yeah, okay, doing whatever you're doing. I think I've tried to pull that as much as I can into this entrepreneurship piece, so I don't have to hold it up. But to your point, I am holding the everybody be strong. You know what I mean? I don't just be crying. You know what I mean? Like I want to sometimes.
Oh,
I'm still holding it up in a certain way, but I try. Even rooms that I've been in where people are saying terrible things, and I'm sitting there like, are you freaking kidding me right now? And it's been vulnerable for me to even say, hey, let's think about it. I remember the guy who was the head of the CEO, I don't think he's the CEO anymore, but I think it's State Farm Insurance. Like the big C. It's either State Farm, Prudential. One of the big insurance. I cannot remember which one it was, but one of the big insurance. I wrote about this in my book. I'm at this table of like all leaders from like all kinds of industries, right? Like I'm talking about the head of the board of Walmart, the head of the whatevers, you know what I mean? Like, and we're at this table and they're having this conversation and I'm feeling like literally a foreign object. Not because they were saying anything toward me wrong, but they're just having this conversation and I'm just like, dang, I don't even know if they understand this part. So I add my piece and me and him end up not agreeing. And this is where I think like when you move into these rooms in these places, you're still worth it for you to speak up. Yes, you can have empathy. Yes, you can figure out how to do it. But if I would have stayed in sort of a dysregulated, maybe even angry with him moment, the next moment wouldn't have happened, which is we had a disagreement at that table and we were going back and forth. But then afterward, something said to me, like, go talk to him. We were at the Aspen festival. He and I ended up walking and talking. And we had the most amazing conversation. Like, and I was just like, I learned from him. He learned from me. So I think nervous system regulation is what I've learned is the key to some of this. Because some of it you can't think yourself out of. You can't think yourself into the next thing. You can't always think yourself into and you can't always just purely feel yourself into. It's like this stuff is happening in our bodies, And so I think it is where, I don't know. It's like, who do you want to be? What do you want to hold, not want to hold up? And just really figuring out how you can do that dance. Because like you said, right now, get a job or start a job. Make or take. Make a job or take a job. It's equally risky right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It's not as much safety as it used to feel. I'm gonna go get a job for a look. Right now, you're just trying to get a long-term contract. Let me get a 30-day contract. Let me do 2-year.
Listen. That's real. That's real. And how that level of uncertainty is a dysregulation that a lot of times, you know what I mean? So it's like you can manage everything else, but it was just like that one last, you know what I mean? Like I had everything, that one last thing, and it's right now, I think it's just so much uncertainty because being an entrepreneur is just uncertainty personified. Like everything is uncertain, but it was just like, but I can always fall back on, you know what I mean? But now this level of uncertainty in this geopolitical environment, this, economic environment, this social environment, that, it makes it so that it is more unnerving now than it has, I can't say has ever been because I haven't lived in all the times, but in my lifetime, like if you think about it, just in the past, what has this been, 6 years? We didn't been in wars, we didn't had a pandemic, we got another one coming. You know what I mean? I mean, like, it's just like,
it's amazing that we even moving, that we're able to keep moving through. It's a testament of the strength of the evolution of the human body for us to be able to still be moving through it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that like we don't even stop to even think about that sometimes. The fact that like it is almost pure miracle. It's a testament to the machine that we are as human bodies, that so many people are that we are moving through all this and being completely dysregulated the whole way through. It's like, it's sort of wild for us to really be thinking about. And so I think this is a great moment. I want to bring up our next guest. Her name is Tansy McNulty. She is a social justice advocate and founder and CEO of 1 million 1 million madly motivated moms. I love that. 1 million madly motivated moms. A nonprofit, now say that 3 times fast. A nonprofit organization dedicated to ending police violence in the U.S. by 2038. I love a good, we're going to do it by this date. Hello. I want to bring her to the stage real quick before I bring her up. I want to read a couple people making comments, and I really want to appreciate everybody for watching. Thank y'all out there because Tansy's our last guest for today. I want to bring her up. But before I do, I just want to say thank you to everybody watching. RDIV, Valerie Rich, SIP 850, good morning. Tiffany Ingram, shout out to Tiffany. She's a part of the morning crew. She be here every morning. Also, Lita, Omi Homie. Shout out to her. She's out. She definitely tunes in. Tiffany said something that I think is interesting. She said, my worst day in my business is better than my best day in my corporate. Hello. You saying something. RDIV Wellness said, thank you, Omi Taki. I really enjoy this live. My name is Sharon Taylor. My business is a startup. She was at Pull Up and Pitch. She got to the second round. She won $500. Yeah. Wonderful. I love that. We got some people on Instagram that are like the attachment healer. She said, building while learning. Is Rose Golden. She said, talk about it. I'm tired. Okay, we get it, Rose, Eddie.
Get it, girl.
Ray Kingpin Jermaine said, thank you for being on stage and being so strong. So shout out to people who are tuning in everywhere. And this is the 5th day of the 30-day show. And I'm like, this is the thing about this show. It's so live, it's so authentic, and it's so much energy. And me and Takia, we get to just talk to each other every day now. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we ain't got to do that in a long time. So I think we got a lot to talk about. So y'all might hear us talk about whatever. So every morning, PST, 9 a.m. EST. Make sure y'all tune in, subscribe to the BGV. Wherever you're watching this right now, subscribe, follow, like BGV Foundation. If you're watching on my channels at The Omi Show, you can do that as well, or Omi Bell. Make sure you subscribe and watching. Also, if you are on Instagram added this cool feature to the lives where you could drop a link. So now there's a link there. It's bit.ly/BGV links. And it will take you to all the things we got going on. I'm going to drop it in the chat here too. bit.ly/BGV links. And it will tell you, it will take you to all the things we got going on. Programs, events, resources, all of that. So make sure you can go check that out. So you'll know it's super, super easy. bit.ly/BGV links. If you're wherever you're watching from. The only one I can't directly communicate with is LinkedIn in terms of comments, but everywhere else you can see the comments that I'm dropping. We can see people's comments from LinkedIn, but they haven't yet got the plugin where I can actually comment back. Else you can see the links that I'm dropping in the chat and things like that. Today, the registration for our summit opens up. Futures We Build Summit. If you go to the BGV Links site, you'll be able to see it. Also, Futures We Build Summit.com. If you want to just go straight to the site. I did build that site with that whole platform with AI. So if you have any questions or thoughts around it, or you have any or you run into any snags, just contact us at contact@blackgirlventures.org and let us know. But go ahead and get your ticket. We're going to have one day that's a summit day, full day of talks and panels and networking. And the next day that'll be September the 10th, which is our actual 10-year anniversary. September the 11th, we're going to have a wellness day. So we'll have a full day of wellness activities. And then we'll have pull and pitch on that Saturday. For the first time ever, we are allowing people to buy priority spots at pull up and pitch. Now, we usually don't charge anybody to pitch. Pull up and pitch is first come, first serve, but we're trying a little something different. Now, if you've been to pull up and pitch, you know how hard it is to get in your slot. Okay. Because you got to get there. It's first come, first serve. And we usually have about 200, 300 people that show up. So in that case, we are, for the first time ever, we're allowing people to be able to get priority or spot, but you got to go to Futures We Build Summit to get it. Go through the registration process and you'll see it there. All right. Our last guest up for today. I want to get her up. Coming to the stage. Okay. Coming to the stage. Up next, the CEO of 1 Million Madly Motivated Moms. I want to welcome Tansy McNulty. Hello.
Hey. Hi. Can you see and hear me okay? I don't know. My thing is acting a fool. Can you see and hear me okay?
You got a bit of an echo because it feels like you're in like an empty room. So
it
a bit
empty.
of an echo, but we can hear you though. It just has echo.
Let me see if I can do this. Maybe I can put my headphones on and kind of block it out. Maybe that'll help. Okay. Give me one moment. I apologize. I'm not sure what's
going on. No, you're fine.
I'm a madly motivated mom.
Madly motivated mom.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I think madly is the word that we just described for how we be feeling.
I mean, yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
I'm just working itself out.
I want to know. I'm curious. Let me take this out the screen. I want to know. I want to hear all the things because I want to know where the concept came from, what the goals are. Around alleviating or what's the right word? What's the word? Ending. I was going to use some other spelling bee word. Ending.
Not a spelling bee
word. Okay, is this any better? Can y'all hear me any better?
Yes, that is better.
There we go. Okay, well, bless God. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all.
It's all right.
So give us the inspiration behind launching this? Were you impacted by police violence in some way?
I think we all are. So not directly impacted. Let me be clear, not directly impacted. The summer of 2016, I was pregnant with my oldest son. I was working in corporate, working for all these big companies, saving them all kind of money. Went on a baby moon. And it was the weekend that Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, and Ronnie Shumpert were all killed by police in different cities. And so I left the country, didn't have any connectivity, came back and opened up my phone and I see all these things happening. I'm carrying a Black male child. And I'm thinking, like, what am I bringing this child into? And then I went back to work on Monday and nobody was talking about it. And this is a company where we talk about everything from what we eat to who our teams are to how traffic, everything. And nobody said anything. But everybody in my circle, in my family, in my network, they were talking about it. And I said, what can I do to use my skill set? I'm good at saving money. I'm good at leaning up processes. I'm good at reducing costs. I'm good at seeing root causes and understanding how to fix complex issues. What can I do to solve this issue? And so right then, I was still at corporate America. It was 2 more years after that. But on June 13th of 2018, I started 1M4, and we have a long name. So that's why we go by the acronym, because that's a lot to say. It's a mouthful, right? So I started 1M4, and I decided to collect and convene and bring together people who had the same level of vested interest that I had. And that was overwhelmingly Black women and Black maternal figures. That's whether you give birth to a child biologically or you are a auntie, a godmommy, whatever your other title was, whatever your other title is. We all mother in very different ways. And that's where 1M4 came from. And for the first about year to 18 months, I didn't tell anybody what I was building. I just wanted to research and study and understand the problem, who was in the space, who's working on what, why is this issue still an issue when everyone knows it's an issue? And then 2020 happened and everything shut down. And then the uprisings happened when everyone was paying attention to police violence. Everyone said they cared for about 3 months. And I told my therapist that actually, I was like, maybe I don't have to do this work anymore. Everyone seems to care. I was like, I bet they're going to forget. And then, things scaled back and went back to normal. But so we decided then in 2020 to develop the first directory, free directory for people to find alternatives to police when they're having a mental health emergency. And we
Mm.
did that because at least 25% of those killed by police are hit in some type of a mental health or behavioral health and stress or crisis. So if we can move that
Mm.
subset of people away from calling police, we can save a lot of lives. And that's what we've done.
Mm.
Awesome. I was just reading about that too, about and I just had so happened to be you know how it just comes up on your feed now, Tansy.
Mhm.
You are bombarded with negativity on a regular basis, and so something came up on my feed and somebody in the comments said, please don't, when this type of thing, that don't call the police. We need to
Mm.
call another professional because they are not trained to respond to what this particular incident, and I can't remember what it is. But as we think about this, because most people, like, we've been trained all our lives to dial 911, right? When
Mm.
something is going on, it's like, pick up
Since
the
you
phone,
were
dial
3 years
911.
old.
Yes, you
Yep.
dial 911, 911. And so a lot of times when you're in the middle of a crisis, right? And like it's almost innate that you just pick up the phone and say 911, and what other things do we need to do, right? Because if I'm in the middle of a crisis, like, I can't be like, okay, let me go to, I'm 1 in 4 and figure out what other
Mhm.
things, could we possibly be doing?
So, yes. So, whenever you're in an emergency or a frantic situation, you're going to use your muscle memory. You're going to call who comes top of mind. So, what we've been telling people and communicating with them is while you're in your regulated state, while you or your loved one is just fine, go to therightresponse.co. Therightresponse.co. That's our website. It's You can go to therightresponse.directory or .live or it's a lot of dots. We bought a lot of them. We just don't have the main one. So we got therightresponse.co. Go to your state, find a response team that is close to you. And in that platform, you'll see when you click on your state or your city, your area, it'll say ABC community response. This is their phone number. We put in their hours of operation. We told you, what type of response you will get, who will be there, whether it's a clinician, a peer. We try to make it very easy for you to understand what to expect. We also put on there their administrative number so that if you want to call them and just figure out, like, who are you, what do, you can talk to them outside of an emergency, but to save their information for your local location. Save it. You can also,
Mm.
I always struggle with, so you also have 988 now. So whereas you have 911 for, like, your physical emergencies, that's if there's an actual crime happening, you had a car accident, things that are a different type of emergency, your physical health emergency. You also now have 988. And I sit on a couple national commissions for 988, Inform 988, as well as expanding first response. And that's for when you're having a mental emergency. That's whether you're having suicidal ideations, you're suffering from anxiety, you're having depressive state. Um, they can also connect you with some responders. The reason I say some is because a lot of the people at 988 are also using our directory because they don't know where all these response teams are. And the reason
Mm.
I share that is because people need to understand that sometimes if you call 988, they may or may not tell you that they have to send an officer because we do not have enough response teams across this country to respond to everyone. Okay. So keep in mind, if I'm suicidal ideations, I need to just talk to somebody, I need a counselor in the moment, 988. If you
Okay.
need
Mm.
someone to come to you, to respond to you in person, try to teach yourself to think the right response first, because that puts the power in your hand to know who's going to come. because you're
Mm.
calling them directly. We are we are doing a number of things to raise awareness. We did a big PR campaign in 2024 when we first released the right response, and now we're developing a television show, a scripted television show
Mm.
to help people understand what these type of emergencies look like. We partner with all kind of people. We've done a lot of things to try to raise awareness, but as you know, like getting people to see what you do costs a lot of money. You have to really position yourself well strategically. And yeah, so we still got some work to do on that front. But if you need someone to come to you, the right response.co. If you need to talk to someone, you're having suicidal ideations, you're having just a rough day, 988.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think it's important that more people know what to do, like you said, to get in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also new conditioning of what to do, right? And because I remember I used to have my American Red Cross certification for like CPR and first aid. And I remember that like in the trainings, what the basic belief was that the more people get trained, the more lives will be saved.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like whether you were like in a field for like CPR and first aid or not, that didn't necessarily matter as much. It was like the more people that at least know how to pump, like do the chest pumps, and the more people at least know how to do the breaths, at least know what signs to look for, right? The more people just kind of know, oh, they're choking, you need to do this. Oh, you're like that baby's choking, they need to do that. Like just the more people that know that, whether they go get a job to be some type of first responder or go get a job to be a teacher or whatever, babysitter, whatever requires it, whether or not you get or stay in that job, what they realize with with CPR and first aid training is just train everybody. Like that's like get as many people training as you possibly can. And so when I hear what you're saying, it's like this is what's coming to me. It's like that's one thing that they did. They just instilled in us like go dial 911. You're in trouble, dial 911. You know, if you see now this is the condition around if you see something, say something, right? Like that's it now, you know, in every airport, and you know, if you see something, say something, right? Like all those things. We've been so conditioned around that. And so what I love is what you're saying, and I like that it's called the right response. I'm curious about the branding because I got a million brand thoughts when you said that. But
Please tell me all of them.
yeah, but in terms of like making it a like an actionable sentence, like am I having the right response? How do I have the right response? Because that's really what people are asking themselves in those moments. How do I respond to this? What is the right response to this? Right. I also think that like even in like we were talking about nervous system regulation earlier, like some of the thoughts with that too is like short of like somebody literally in life or life threatening emergencies, you probably do have a little bit of time to think. But if you don't, like you said earlier, that conditioning to just call this place will come in. And I think to get where you're bringing up is like you're in the middle of that and you're like, what do I do? I think you do have time to breathe and think sometimes a little bit more than we know. Because sometimes we can see an emergency about to happen. Oh, such and such getting to a
You can
point.
feel it
Like,
coming. Yeah.
yeah, you can feel it. Family, even in family functions. You done walk past that one thing you knew was unsafe the whole time. Like somebody need to move this. You know what I mean? Like why is this kid? And then boom, some kid falls, person gets cut. You know what I mean? You're like, oh Lord, I knew we need to move that. But you know, like the interesting thing about it, of course, not always, for sure. But I think, you know, in those moments where things are a little bit more slow, where you can slow down, you don't feel like you can, but that's also some like getting regulated in the moment.
Yeah. Give yourself a second to think about it. Who is the right person to respond to me? How should I be responding in this situation if you're watching it happen to a loved one? Give yourself like 3 to 5 seconds, and I bet you come up with the right answer. And it will usually be that we don't need an officer here with a gun. We need something else.
Yeah, we need the right response.
Yeah,
You
we
need the right
definitely
response.
need the right response, right? And
Mm,
it's so and I'm so grateful that you brought up to your original story as a mom of a son, right? And I had two daughters first, right? So I had two daughters first, and then I had my son. And and I heard moms, especially black moms, right, with black sons, right, and how they would share and all of those things, right? And I didn't have a point of reference, right, because I had daughters and it was a different type of thing. With my son, it's a whole different level of awareness that I wasn't trained for this level. And I say training. I wasn't trained for the level of awareness that I have to now be vigilant about when it comes to raising my son, right? And I think that that's something else as a madly motivated mom, is that another thing, right, where we have to kind of have the conversations about what that means differently.
Slightly. So
Mm,
initially, because I have two little boys now. At
mm,
that point, I was just pregnant with the first one. So so initially, I thought that this did just disproportionately impacted Black males, and it does. They are definitely harmed more by the state, but women are too.
mhm,
Whether that's harming them through not believing what they're telling you, harming their families by not going to look for them if they're missing. Oh, they just probably ran away. So the reason I in our organization and advocates now use the term police violence instead of just saying police brutality, because police brutality is beating you, hitting you in the moment, shooting you in the moment. But violence is like not filing or falsifying reports. It's not believing someone when they tell you something has happened to them. It's dismissing them when they say, "Oh, something's going on with me," or feeling like they're the victim. So it's a little different. It is more heightened with young boys and raising boys. I don't have any girls. I know the research on Black women, what's happened to Black,
mhm.
brown, indigenous, queer people. And so it's slightly different. You do have a hyper awareness with Black men, but just if you are in a body that is marginalized, you have to be a little bit more vigilant because you
Thank
may not be you may do the same thing as another person, but you'll be seen and received differently because your body is not at the center of what this country centers.
thank you for that loving reminder. Because a lot of times we do um lean into what what the research or what is being presented in front of us, and so I'm
Hmm.
I'm grateful, um that you gave that loving reminder that it's not
Yeah,
just
it's
about brutality, like the beating and
mhm,
you know what I mean, like we know about that, like I mean, not we
mhm.
know about it all, but
You
that is
see it more
highly,
often.
yes. And the other, there are other things where they are the microaggressions sometimes where you're not believed, where you are put into or you're not thought to be unsafe. Like you're fine, you're good, you can do it, you'll be all right. And how that impacts
Mhm.
us. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. But I do understand what you're saying with the hypervigilance with sons. I have two sons. I'm married to a Black man.
Ooh.
So the organization was started to protect my own family. This
Hmm.
happened to protect a few thousands and hundreds of thousands of others while I'm at.
And we appreciate you, girlfriend.
100%. You're
Thank
doing the
you. Help.
Lord's work
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you.
We need this work. It's so important. What do you have? You have anything coming up that you want to leave the people with?
Oh goodness. So we are a little bit of everywhere. So in this alternative response space, so we call this alternative response. It's a way of someone else showing up as your first response versus it just being police officers. So I have a film screening. We're doing a film screening with the team at Cambridge next week on May 28th at 4 p.m. Eastern. I will be at NAMI, which is National Alliance for Mental Illness, on the 27th of May. And then the first week of June, I will be in Chicago with the alternative response convening for 2026, convening with about 400 other folks from around the country who are expanding first response. And we also have a television show where we will be pitching. So this is my first time telling anybody about our television show on like an open platform. Y'all got the exclusive, like
Exclusive.
yeah.
Brum, 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 brum.
Yeah, so hopefully we're pitching it this summer. If you know any producers, execs who are interested in a scripted series based on real world events, showing
Well,
what mental health
50 Cent
emergencies
just
look
put out
like,
a
let us
thing about
know.
a pitch. Did you see that?
I did not. What's he pitching? What's he looking for?
I don't know, child. I just saw it on my feed and I was like, oh, it's pitch. He's like, oh, come pitch me. So I would say, like, go
Okay.
look at his account, 50 Cent's account on Instagram is what I saw.
Okay.
But
As
I
long
mean,
as we
I
can do
just
this in
that's
a helpful
looking
way, I'm
that
with it.
there you go. I was gonna say something to you. Do you think that community policing is going to be something that will evolve into something that more people welcome or that we have? Like, because if you've seen like the Shy, where it was like, oh, we don't need, we don't want all these police in our neighborhood, and they started creating these like sort of like coalitions around like community policing. We'll be in Chicago May 30th for Pull Up and Pitch too. I don't know if you're there then, but if you are, come
I won't
by.
be there yet.
But yeah, so when you were talking,
community
I was like, it's interesting. Like, are these concepts brewing around the country? Will that be something that we see more of?
Possibly. The reason I say possibly is because, well, you have to be able to fund this in a sustainable way as well, because you don't want people just volunteering to be safety stewards when they have also jobs. I believe in compensating people for the labor that they do, right? So a lot of these coalitions that come out, people are volunteering, but they also got regular work to do. So we need to be able to fund sustainably, continuously, and not just as a pilot, these type of, I call them more like safety pods, safety networks. I try to take the term policing out of everything. This is just rooted in some
Okay.
harmful stuff. So, but the safety communities, community responders, intervention with CDI, violence interrupters, those type of things could be extremely helpful on a national level if we can fund it. If we can fund it in a sustainable way, in an equitable way. So am I hopeful? Yes. Am I realistic as well in knowing how funding works at state and government levels? I also know that too. But little by little, we're shifting things and we're transforming things in this space.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. This was wonderful.
Yes,
I'm really excited.
Yes,
Thank y'all for having me, and thank you for creating the space. And I will be looking at what 50 Cent said. I'm gonna find it.
Okay.
Find that thing.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
Right.
Have a great day, beautiful.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, y'all.
This is another great show in the bag. Day 5.
Day 5.
Also, where do you think you going? I meant to say this earlier. You see, you got your hair out. You know what I'm saying? When you see your hair out, we got a jacket on. What you doing today?
I gotta go outside. I gotta run. Look, I gotta run a business.
Got it. Yep. I gotta go do that.
I gotta run a business. So I'm gonna go ahead on outside and run that business today. You know what I mean? We got products. We got Red Lip Energy Oil just came back in stock. So that she tear us up. She wear us out in the best, most beautiful way.
Red Lip Energy Oil?
Yes.
What is that? I didn't know nothing about that. What's that?
Yeah, so it's a body oil that we came out with. Yes.
I didn't. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah, so we came out with
I didn't get a notification. Where was it
at? We came out with a scent, Red Lip Energy Oil. She's been running good for almost a year now. Yup. And so we came out with
what it smell like though?
All the things. She got that, a good oud. You know what I mean? She got some vanilla, some jasmine, some, sandalwood. She exudes Red Lip Energy. Like when you walk past, this is what Red Lip Energy smell like. That's what it is.
I'm gonna need some of that. I don't think this KikiThunder.com.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
KIKITHUNDA.com. I need to
Yeah.
find it because I don't think I knew that. Put something in my package.
Your
My
package already
package
went
already
out.
gone. I know.
We ship same day. That thing came and went out. Like we don't play
Oh
around with
man.
we
Okay,
don't
I'm gonna
play
have to go
around with
check
no
it
orders.
out.
Yeah, but I'll definitely make sure you get some because I mean I love it. We have a whole Red Lip Energy collection, but the original Red Lip Energy oil is the one that we can't keep in stock. So,
Okay.
but that goes to that also, things that we don't think about as entrepreneurships. That like there's a beautiful thing, a beautiful problem to have, but now you have to figure out how your manufacturing processes can account for now this being something. So we're doing some travel coming up so that we can figure out how to not sell out. Like, people think selling out is like, you want to sell out. No.
Well, how to not sell out, meaning you always want to be in stock. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
like you want to sell out. Go
Yes,
no,
you
we
want to
ain't
sell
saying
out.
don't buy. We need y'all to
Yes.
buy. Okay.
Yes.
But what we also saying is on the
Yes,
back end, we got to figure
yes.
out how we're gonna keep replenishing it.
Yes, and that's the
Yeah.
thing, and that's one of the things that that replenishment cycle. My goodness.
But we love a good scarcity drop too. You know what I mean? That's a marketing tactic.
It is.
Like,
It
so can you put me some aside?
Yeah.
Because all I'm trying to say is I got my two
Crazy John.
Crazy Johns. Okay, I need to check my mailbox. I ain't checked it yet. It's probably in
Yeah.
there. Got those. And I didn't know about this oil, so now I need to check it out.
Okay.
Today, the Futures We Build Summit, the tickets are now on sale, y'all. We're gonna have our summit is September the 9th through the 12th. Y'all go check it out. It's live. Okay, you want to get in there first. We want to create amazing, impactful rooms with great groups of folks and where people can really relate to each other, right? I think it's something that's really important to me. Community is a large part of BGV. So go to futureswebuildsummit.com. If you're on Instagram watching us right now, there's a link that you can click there. And it is BGV links, and it takes you to programs, events. It's our link tree. Also, if you are wherever else you're watching, just go to this link, bit.ly/BGV links, and it'll take you to all the things. You can click on the summit. First time ever, we're gonna do a priority pay slot for pull up and pitch. We've never done that before, but it's gonna come some stipulations. I don't think you can pay and then come an hour late. That's not what we're saying. Okay, you're gonna still have to be there on time. You got an hour window to get not an hour window. You I'll take it later. Be there on time. But ultimately there's that. Thank y'all so much for joining us. We appreciate y'all. And I got this outro. Now this is draft 1.
Okay.
It's gonna be the intro and the outro. But since we've been here, I've been working on AI in the background. We gotta talk about AI on Monday too, because I got a new machine and I plugged Claude all the way up into that joint. I'm talking about Claude Chrome extension, Claude desktop. And when I tell y'all, after I got everything plugged up, it took me maybe an hour to get 3 weeks of content scheduled out.
No.
Now I'm gonna see how it flows. I'm talking about captions written. I'm talking about
you
videos.
Play with me.
It went through, I had it go through my whole profiles, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Look at the most, what was the most responded to video, the highest engagement videos. We're going to do it. And I'm doing a reposting strategy around the ones with the most engagement. That's going to give me a 3-week window of content so that I can then create new content without feeling the pressures of having to have content
going.
Your lips
and close them tight. Because I just put Claude on my desktop. I put Claude on my desktop yesterday. So now I got to put my extensions. We'll talk about it on Monday.
I'm telling y'all, this joint is a game changer. I installed it in my browser, and I had to clean up my email. My email is a heavy. That's what my assistants that I've hired mostly is in my email. Mostly that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this is wild to be able to have this move this fast. Like, it's kind of crazy. I'll be honest with y'all. So we're gonna talk more about it on Monday, and we just keep talking about it. Also, shout out to everybody with a jean jacket, because as a millennial, I'm not giving it up. Okay. So anybody out there got something we want to say about it, whatever. I'm gonna be rocking a jean jacket, and shout out to all my jean jacket girlies, period. Forever. Jean jackets forever. Yeah. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. I'm Omi Bell, my co-host Takia Ross, and we gonna get up out of here. Now, here we go. Y'all ready? This is the first draft now. Just first draft. I may have another one coming. Okay. But I can only do 3 videos a day on Gemini. So if anybody got another tool that I can create videos on, let us know. But thank y'all so much for coming out. God bless y'all. Good night. Okay.